Hey people, welcome to Bethel Brothers Hot Rod. Today I'm going to be working a little bit more on the rear end after fabricating the tailgate yesterday. Stick around, stay tuned, I'll show you something cool. I'd like to take a minute and describe a little something about this bed and how I came to think that it's off a Studebaker. On the original Dodge beds, this line is where the bed actually came up to. So I started thinking, well, maybe they just chopped the bed. But in Dodge beds, especially 50 series, there's this pleat line that ran down. It was like concave to help give because it was so tall, to help give it strength. You know, so there's two horizontal lines that went through, so that's definitely not it. Studebakers do have this detail, and they did use these particular pillars. But as far as the fenders go, I'm thinking that was off a Dodge, because they used the boat trailer looking fenders. Studebakers, they had this more flared detail towards the front. It was a little more teardrop shaped, whereas these are just total boat trailer looking fenders. So that's why I thought it was a Studebaker. And the bed being the height that it is, that's typical of a Studebaker bed, and that could explain why some of the alignment problems and issues they had are apparent. And you can see this, you know, falls below the line. That would all have been hidden. So that's why I thought it was that. And if you look on, I saw it on an episode of Trucks, and it was pretty much spot on the same bed. Also watching Trucks, I also saw the truck that grill was in, 51 GMC. So if I'm right, I got the 51 GMC grill, which we just saw the picture of it, and a 46 to 51 Studebaker bed. Yesterday I got the tailgate on. Now this actually set back. Let's see if I can move it without knocking it over, and it just bolted back in here. The only problem is it seems that they drilled those holes before they had a tailgate on, because when you open the tailgate, it actually hits the bolts where you're supposed to mount them. So what I've done, I set up on a couple jack stands, and this is not exactly the area. I just wanted to look at it to see how it would look. I want to bring that out flat. I'm gonna mount these through the back side so it looks like Corvette lights, and I'll have to fill this gap. So I think the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bend to 90 on this, so it would actually go back and touch the mounting point, and then weld some supports for it to sit on. You'll see what I'm saying. I know I'm not really making sense. It's better visually, right? I gotta take out the lights and the license plate, do my bend, and then I'll come back. Okay, I need a measurement from, I'm gonna use this piece of square stock for a flat edge and just go down it. And off my mounting point down here, if I can get the tape measure out. Come on, Penny boy. Straight edge to give me an interpretation of where it's going to be flush. And I'm showing 1.5 inches, baby. So I got to measure my material, and then I'll make some mounts. This is my mounting point. Let me hit you with some light. Mounting point down here. As you can see, these guys didn't level it. See how this side's bolt holes are like well clear? Check this out over here. See that clearance, dude? Jackasses. So I'm gonna make a different mount down here, and I might even hook them into these. So it's like a bumper issue, but I'm gonna buffing it up because the piece of metal that was on there is really weak and floppy. So I'm gonna buffing that up. I'm not going to grind the paint just yet, because where I want to make that bend, it'll be easier to see the line when I draw it on. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to make my mark on both ends. straight line the bad boy. Pin's getting dry. Okay, people, I got my piece in the vise and it's clamped along the line, and I'm gonna try to manhandle this floppy piece of steel to the shape I need. Just gonna get it started. Okay, I walked it back and forth a couple times and it's kind of ugly, so I'm going to finish it out on the anvil. Alright, dude and dudettes, got it mocked up. I gotta refine the shape a little bit, but I got my angle right. And this is mocked up. I'm gonna drop it down so there's at least like a 1/4 inch of clearance, and then the rest will be flat down. But it gives you an idea of what I'm going after, yeah? I'm gonna try to get those waves and lumps and bumps out of it and see what I can do to fix it. Alright people, let me explain where I'm at. I've grinded it down, I've got the shape that I want, and then I've cut these little pieces of the big chunk O exhaust that I flattened out, and I'm making some brackets. So I got a piece mounted on there, I'm going to weld that on, weld the other one on, and that should strap over the frame. Now don't worry, that's not all that I'm going to put on there, that's just the start. I got to get them on so I can mount some holes, or find where the holes are going to go that mounted to the original bumper, so I'm going to start with those. Okay people, got it mounted on. Check out this gap bed. Very little of it. I can actually drop these. There's your look at her. Check out that line, huh? Here's what I did. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna shore those up on both sides, so they're a little buffer and it holds this, because it's still all weeble wobble. I'm gonna shore that up, but at least I know I'm straight and I'm good and I'm rocking and rolling, babies. All right, people. Took some round stock, welded it around the perimeter of it. Just stagger stitch the welds. Not too many people are going to see back behind here. And I also cut the corners off. I wanted to have a little rounded look, and I'm going to use the rounded pieces that I cut off as gussets, the outside edges. So it's going right back in, man. Take it off, put it in, killing two birds with one stone. So I'm going to weld those on for these to be supported a little bit more. Blah blah blah. Be back in a bit. Alright people, there's the part. Little gussets welded in. And flip it over. Little rounded edges. Filled in the holes. Did a lot of grinding, a lot of shaping. But it's a lot stronger than it originally started out as. It's a floppy piece of metal. I got to straighten it out a little bit because it got warped from welding. And cut some holes in it tomorrow for some lights and hang it. Alright people, I'm out of here. I got tons of leaves I gotta rake up and prepare for tomorrow's episodes. Thanks for tuning in and watching Bethel Brothers Hot Rod. Peace.